In the Paul McCartney Man on the Run documentary, Paul talks an awful lot about growing up. But I'm not so sure I see a whole lot of Paul growing up here in the 70s. I mean, maybe, I don't know if he's ever necessarily really grown up, and that's not a bad thing. I don't know if any of us ever really grows up, but we certainly, do grow, evolve, and change, etc. And we do see Paul do that here in the documentary. I mean, and it's a great documentary. I did have to watch it multiple times, probably like about 7 times or so I've seen it, all the way through, because I think with multiple watches, you begin to look below the superficial stuff and see the thread, see the common thread that goes through this whole thing. And it is about Paul kind of saying, okay, I guess I'm going to try this and that doesn't work. I'm going to try this and some of this work. So you see Paul experimenting, continuing to experiment. And you also see Linda facilitating that, making things possible. And the whole documentary does end with Paul saying that they kind of found out, during this time period, the documentary covers from the time when the Beatles broke up until about 1981. And Paul ends the documentary saying, they made the impossible dream happen. And I think a lot of that was due to Linda. And he does give Linda quite a lot of credit here. Paul said that he was lucky to have Linda with him during that time. And he said that he learned a lot from her. As a matter of fact, there's this beautiful, lovely, a love letter right in the middle of the documentary, specifically highlighting Linda. Linda's definitely highlighted all the way throughout the documentary, just like Linda's highlighted all the way through Paul's life. But it was fabulous to see Linda there, highlighted by Paul. And I'm going to tell you right now, in some ways, she kind of steals the spotlight in some ways, and that's her way, because Linda's way is not being in front of the camera. She didn't really want to be in front of the camera, and that's what she talks about here in the documentary. She says that prior to meeting Paul, she had learned to kind of, get over some of her insecurities. And also when she's behind the camera, when she's, taking photographs, she's able to just kind of let go of herself, actually, and sort of be free. And that's when she's able to capture, the beauty that she's looking at, the actual, the authenticity. I mean, my goodness, that's what I think that was Stella. Stella called her mom a complete individual. And she said that Paul had never met anybody like that before. And I think that this is what Paul saw in Linda, the fact that Linda was walking around, someone who had basically let go of a lot of stuff, really wasn't very egotistical. And I'm sure that this was very refreshing for Paul McCartney to meet someone who was just really authentic, didn't necessarily have an agenda, was just there, very open. And I'm sure that must have been an enigma for Paul McCartney. Somebody who was very fascinating, someone who really wasn't necessarily trying to get his attention, but was still getting his attention. And I can see that in this documentary. Linda's just kind of, whenever she's there, she's very authentic and graceful and real. And there's something about her that just kind of draws you in and makes a lot of things possible. I mean, she's someone who will just say yes, and that's how she helped Paul. She helped Paul, again, by, just by allowing Paul to be Paul and allowing him to grow and change and evolve. I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. Linda did have a family with Paul, but had, three more kids with Paul? But I think that Paul was probably her biggest baby there for a while there in the 70s, okay? She really did help to raise Paul, to help Paul be the best that he could be. And I think Paul, you can see that here, I think, with his songs, etc. He kind of finally matured into that and realized that, oh my God, this is an incredible woman, because Linda wasn't necessarily saying, hey, I'm this great woman, pay a lot of attention to me. What she was saying is Paul, you're a great guy. I'm paying a lot of attention to you. That's how she made it happen. That's how she built up Paul. And by saying yes to everything. It's she said that Paul said, okay, you are, you're probably not, I have this farm, but you're probably not going to like it. And Linda goes, yeah, I think I'm going to be good with that. And Paul says, oh, you want to be a member of my new band? She goes, sure, I'll do that. Oh, you want to sing? Okay, I don't know how to sing, but okay, I'll teach, you can sing. You're going to be just fine. Why don't you play the piano? I'm a photographer. I don't know how to play the piano. So Linda was just saying yes to everything. And Linda, very straightforward. Hey, Linda really cuts through the bullshit. Basically, I think that's the other thing that attracted Paul to Linda. And you can see that here. But to go back to always saying yes to Paul, like she was saying, I was not the best singer. I wasn't like a piano player. I wasn't a keyboard player. That wasn't why I was up there. It was because we loved each other. That's why I was up there on stage, because we loved each other. So again, that's just really real and authentic. And that's someone who you can put your trust in, someone who's just going to keep it real like that and feel like, hey, I love you. So yes. And in those interviews, there's a couple of them in here where she just knows how to carry herself. She can see what the reporters are doing when they get married and the reporter's doorstep. Paul and Linda.
Mrs. McCartney, congratulations. What does it feel like to have just married probably one of the most eligible bachelors in the world, with the envy of all the ladies?
Well, Linda could have answered in so many ways and addressed all of these points, but all Linda said was like, it just feels great to be married. And just absolutely sidestepped all those other landmines that were planted right there. I mean, that is someone who just isn't going to fall for any traps, isn't going to go for the bait, knows exactly what you're doing, and lets you think that maybe you got away with it. She's going to tell you like what she wants you to know. It's like she's going to gatekeep that. And you can see that here in some of the other interviews here. Like she will kind of keep an eye on Paul and the reporter and defend Paul, or maybe be a distraction or back him up or something here, just to kind of give Paul whatever he needs to handle like these interviews.
No. It's not Wings, it's the Beatles.
That's it, yeah. No, I say, it's just one of those things, if it happens, it happens.
Like no ego, letting go of herself. It's like she knows what's important. And it's like, being his friend, being his support person. And did she get everything in return? Absolutely, she did. She got everything in return. Probably not right away, but I feel like, she didn't care. She didn't have that. What she got was like a family. And obviously that's what she wanted. She got the farm. She got the family. She got the sheep. She got the horses. She got the flowers. She was able to do photography. She just went on stage. Hey, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'm singing. That's fine. I don't care. That's not what I'm about. I'm with the man that I love, and we're having fun here. And I'm just here to support and watch what's happening and to be a part of it and to be a part of his life and to just add rather than subtract. That is the beauty of Linda McCartney, giving Paul McCartney that space to be Paul McCartney and to go through whatever the hell it was that he was going through. And if he was going to grow, if he was going to do like Bruce McMouse, or if he was going to dress up in a pink tuxedo, or whatever the hell Paul wanted to do, okay? Or if Paul wanted to sing like My Love, or maybe I'm Amazed, or go on tour, and drag the kids along. And Linda's like, hey, I'm a homebody here, but I'm going to do it because I love you, okay? And definitely that was wearing thin, and we see that here by the end of, by the end of the 70s, it was beginning to wear thin, and they did eventually, stop touring. There's a lot of reasons why they stopped touring. But Linda never stopped wanting to be a part of Paul McCartney's life. And Paul, you can almost see it here, where Paul begins to also realize that he can let go of a lot of things too. This is his way of saying, like, I'm growing up, I'm changing and I'm understanding like what is happening. Now, Paul is never going to be that guy to necessarily let go of his ego. That is just not going to happen. But can Paul want to be the best man that he can be, to be as good as Linda? He can certainly try. He can keep on trying. I think that, Paul can certainly keep on trying. I mean, everybody needs a friend like Linda. Everybody needs a partner like Linda who is up here, but is not making you feel like you're down here. She will gently just sit there. Again, you could just see her. I'll sing whatever song you want. I will allow you to do whatever it was that you want to do, because I think that you're wonderful. So everything that you do is wonderful and fabulous, and she just allows things to happen. And that's almost like how she mothers her kids. That's how she mothers Paul, mothers the sheep, and this is how she takes photographs. It's like she becomes their friend. I think that's what Mary McCartney said. It's like, you're with a friend. It's like she's taking a picture of a friend with her photography, because she it's not about her. Linda was not making it be about her. She would make it be about everybody else. And therefore, she would be able to get a lot of things back. It's like the love you take is equal to the love that you make. I mean, I think that is Linda McCartney's, place here in the big scheme of things. And that is like a forever, like a timeless thing. Which brings me to Mull of Kintyre. And whenever I, and they did highlight Mull of Kintyre here, pretty good, because, they said it was like the best-selling, single in the UK of all time. Of course, they had to say that in here. It is after all a Paul McCartney documentary. So they're going to be, like touting everything that Paul did, that was wonderful. And and absolutely, I think Mull of Kintyre, I just love Mull of Kintyre, always have, stopped me in my tracks the first time I heard it, because even I, as a teenager in California, I could feel like the beauty and the love of the song Mull of Kintyre here. And I think that Paul wrote that song at a time after he had, and you can see it here, Paul does have a journey of growing up from the Beatles, and the ups and downs with Wings, and, his songs, and trying this and trying that, and Mary Had a Little Lamb and everything, and all these trials and tribulations. And then he gets to, that time, in Wings of America, all that. So he had some success. You can see through the documentary, it's like there's a lot of this going on that Paul, Linda go through. And, Paul is doing this, and Linda's trying to even out the bumps here, just trying to give Paul that soft landing. What more can anybody ask than just trying to provide that soft landing for someone by saying, I can like cut my own hair. Yeah, I can stop myself. Yes, Paul, I can do this. I'm going to make things as easy as possible. You want me to come with you? Absolutely. Like, I'll come with you. Because why? Because I love you. You see why I'm giving my own love letter to Linda today? Because it's like, I think that she made everything possible. So anyway, let me go back to Mull of Kintyre. So anyway, Paul going through all of this stuff here, in the 70s, the changing and evolving, the really big ups and downs here, coming to a lot of revelations and realities. In the meantime, Linda's watching this, and Linda kind of already knows probably what he's going through, and is just kind of waiting for him to get there, to let go, Paul. Just like take it in. Here's home, here's family, you're safe, everything's okay. And here comes Mull of Kintyre. Paul's love letter too. And I tend to get a little bit misty when I talk about Mull of Kintyre because it is like all about like home and family and love and the heart and everything. And that's when Paul is at his best, when he allows that to happen. And it's great that Denny, you can hear Denny talking about him and Paul working on the song together. There's a funny exchange in there. There's a lot of funny parts to this movie, and this is one of them, the exchange between the two of them. Paul has one take on why they got the bagpipes in there, and then Denny has another take on why the bagpipes show up. But I also think it's great that, I didn't know that they had recorded the song, in the open air, like on the patio. I had no idea that they did that outside. I didn't know that. And Denny says that, how else could you do it? It's the only way that the song made sense. And I think that that's why it has such this big, expansive feel. You could even say that the song Mull of Kintyre breathes. It's like when you listen to that song, it just kind of goes in and out like that. Almost like just like the bagpipes just go in and out like that. I do think that this song kind of sort of was one of those songs that's like here, and Paul just kind of grabbed it and made it happen, right? Because that's just what Paul does. Okay, it just happens. He's like the magician. He takes the energy and he just kind of gets it all here, and let's just write this song. So he allows it to happen. Paul knows how to allow songs to happen. That's Paul's way of allowing things. But anyway, I think that Mull of Kintyre is kind of a culmination of of one of Paul's phases of having gone through a lot of things and has kind of grown up. He is at like a peak at that point, and this gets him even higher, because that song is Paul, like a love letter to home, heart, and family and everything, and just giving everybody like a warm embrace. And so everybody just hugs Paul back. So Paul really has learned a lot at that point in time. But of course, in Paul's life, there's always going to be like something fall off of a cliff, which is, of course, what happens in the documentary and in Paul's life. And you can see that. Okay, like things do continue to change. Linda gets a little bit tired of being on the road. She's pregnant, or Paul says they're both pregnant in 1977. And then, of course, the 1980, like the drug bust. There's even a couple of parts in here where you wonder, like Paul is tempting fate. That's kind of a couple of things that I saw in this documentary where Paul talks about like tempting fate. Almost like really just pushing the limit of things to kind of like see what happens here. So, watch the documentary, see what you think about it. Everything is just kind of happening to change Paul's life once again. Like when you have a big life like Paul McCartney, stuff is going to happen. And you just have to be like flexible. And I think this is what Paul was trying to learn how to do, is just be flexible. And I think he actually says that here. I'm just going to let that go. I'm just learning just to let that go. Okay, it just doesn't go my way. I just have to learn to let that go. And I think that's something that he's probably still doing that. I'm sure he's much better at it. I mean, I don't know Paul McCartney. I'm just guessing. But because when you do get older, it is easier for just to let go of things. What was important here is not important now. Okay. So I'm because like I said, I don't feel like Paul is like grown up. I mean, yeah, he talks a lot about growing up. I know he likes that phrase all throughout this documentary. I think it's a good phrase for him. I think it suits him. However, I mean, did Paul really grow up? I don't know, because I think that, Paul and Linda and the family and everything, that youth and that vigor, that, that windswept feeling, I don't know if you ever want to outgrow that. Because that is such a fresh feeling. That's something that he captures in his songs and his music, in his life and his embrace of everything that he does. I think now he's much better. He handles life a whole lot better. You can see him there in the 90s when he's better able to embrace things, because, yeah, you figure out what's important and what's not, after you've been on this journey. And see, this is why I think that you need to watch the movie several times to kind of, see underneath, because this is Paul, okay? You have to like really listen to what Paul maybe means or what he's not saying or whatever's going on to really understand what the heck is going on with Paul McCartney. So watch it a few times to really get like the message here that this is a man who might think that he is, the world, it's like him against the world, just like it was with the Beatles. And he even says that here. He always feels like it's him against the world. When I do think that a lot of it, or at least earlier, like in the early 70s, it was like him against himself, like fighting himself, trying to understand himself more, and Linda allowing him to do that. And she just setting that example and distracting him with kids and sheep in the farm and everything. It's like, here, Paul, look, here, just go ahead and play with this other stuff. Just don't worry about being this big famous guy or anything like that. You're not that guy. So she helped him to understand, hey, you don't have to be famous Paul McCartney. You can just be this guy who does all this other stuff. You can just do whatever the heck it is that you want to do. Because, you're Paul McCartney and I love you. And that isn't going to change. And Chrissie Hynde had she had a comment about that. She says she loves timelessness. And that was what her comment was about the song Mull of Kintyre. And that is, and that's why I think Mull of Kintyre, again, of course, obviously it's about Paul's home and Linda and the kids and the family. I mean, that's where his heart lives. And that's why I get a little bit misty when I'm talking about it. So I do think that that is like at the heart of this documentary. Paul might want to like talk about his other songs, etc. But I really think that at the heart of this documentary is Mull of Kintyre, Linda, the kids, etc. Love. Of course, there's some funny stuff in there too, mainly revolving around Paul's pot bust and a lot of pot jokes like that. There's a lot of funny stuff in there too. So anyway, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really and truly appreciate it. And until next time, peace and love one another, you guys. Take care.